Welcome back. All right, so we're rounding out the season previews today. Today's the last day for the season previews. Yep. The Buffalo Sabres, the first of the two that I'm going to do today, which means saved for last, Tampa Bay. All right, so the last 5 seasons for Buffalo have been rough, right? And it's been longer than 5 years since Buffalo got anywhere near the playoffs, and it's kind of a situation where fans we're getting pretty tired of the spinning their wheels. It feels like the second half of this past season was better. And yet, we're still here. We're still looking at a team that has not made the playoffs in a very long time. So 2017-2018, they finished 25, 45, and 12. They were 31st in goals for and 29th in goals against. And it's kind of a storyline. They can't score enough. They can't keep the puck out of their net enough. This is a problem. 2018-2019, they were 33, 39, and 10. 24th in goals for and 23 in goals against. And, I mean, they might be having good starts to seasons, but they can't follow up that good start. They can't maintain it. 2019-2020, they end up 30, 31, and 8. So close to the Montreal Canadiens in point percentage. And if they'd won a couple of games rather than losing, they would have been in that series against Pittsburgh instead of Montreal. But yeah, they were 21st in goals for that year and 17th in goals against with their 30, 31, and 8 record. 2020, 2021, it gets worse. 15, 34, and 7. So playing in just an impossible division, they win 15 games. They finished 28th in goals for. They finished 29th in goals against. So it's just a rough time for Buffalo. This past season, which was better, 32, 39, and 11. And it's interesting because they're 7 games below NHL 500. I say NHL 500 because they only won 32 out of 82 games. But it feels like this was a season of improvement. They were 22nd in goals for and 25th in goals against. And so for Buffalo, we'll see, right? There's a lot of good young players coming into this lineup now. It feels like Buffalo should start making that climb. And it can be a slow climb. It could be a fast one. We'll see where things turn out for them. Their best month this past season was October, where they were 5-2-1. Their worst month was November at 3-9-2. Exits, a few noteworthy exits here. Colin Miller, Dustin Tokarski, and Aaron Dell. Aaron Dell, of course, retiring. Tokarski moving on. And Miller, I believe, is in Dallas now, right? So the new faces in the lineup, they did sign Ilya Lyubushkin, who I was kind of surprised didn't stay in Toronto. Lawrence Pilot has returned from the KHL. Eric Comrie picked up from the Jets. If Comrie can give them the kind of goaltending he gave Winnipeg last year, Buffalo might be okay, because goaltending was a problem last year. And of course, Riley Sheahan was added too as a UFA, and I'm guessing JJ Peterka and Jack Quinn get a real opportunity to play this year. They may not be the only rookies getting in there, but I think they're the furthest along. Both of them having very good years in Rochester. You might be better off moving them up now to Buffalo and now put new guys in Rochester. Maybe a guy like Isaac Rosen, as a for instance. Their tandem in net appears to be Craig Anderson and Eric Comrie, but Luukkonen is in this organization. Subban's starting out the season injured, but he can play. And I think Comrie is a lock. Who the other goaltender is, we'll find out. It should be Anderson, but again, Anderson now in his early 40s. It is possible somebody else gets that backup job. Down the middle, Tage Thompson, who had a remarkable breakout season for Buffalo. We'll see how he follows that up. Casey Mittelstadt, who seemed to improve as well. It's been a long wait for Mittelstadt to become the kind of forward they envisioned, but I think that's possible here. Dylan Cousins, who might be due for a bit of a jump, so I've got him on this side of the board too. Zemgus Girgensons, who is solid bottom 6 forward for the Buffalo Sabres. So the channel vote is understandably pessimistic when it comes to the Sabres. I would be surprised if it was anything else. 2% of the main channel and 4% of the Entertainment Guy channel voting for them to finish first or second. Third or fourth, 7% of the Hockey channel, 5% of the Entertainment Guy channel voting them third or fourth. Fifth or sixth, 33% on the main channel, 32% on the Entertainment Guy channel, voting them for fifth or sixth. And seventh or eighth is kind of an opposite thing. 58% on the main channel, 59% on the second channel. And again, the sample size shows you that this is pretty accurate. 10,000 plus votes on the Hockey channel, 690 votes on the Entertainment Guy channel, and yet the numbers are pretty darn close. 9% on both polls saying that they'll be top 4 in the Atlantic. And it could happen. It absolutely could. Predicting when a team is going to take that jump is tough to do, but there are teams that do it, and Buffalo's overdue for one, to be honest. Their Stanley Cup odds are still understandably long, plus 15,000. So while I'm trying to be optimistic about certain things here, like, for instance, there could be 2 Goathead jerseys this year for Buffalo. Yep, there's a reason I'm wearing this hat, and I've got that on the board, because the Goathead comes back, then this should be on the shoulders as well. Their cap space, there's a lot. According to Cap Friendly, they currently have $19,604,166. So it is possible that if Buffalo gets off to a decent start, they might be able to arm themselves up a little bit. Maybe bring in a couple of guys on expiring contracts if they feel like they're in a position to push for a playoff spot and maybe get a playoff spot, right? You need to make sure that your fans have, what's that called? Hope. You need to make sure that the fans have hope. So it's important to make sure that you run this correctly. You get your kids in the lineup at the proper time when they're ready. And, of course, contract signings and figuring out when to get all that done. Buffalo's been seen as an unattractive destination for free agents or for trade targets. But while I'm sure they're on some no-trade lists, the reality is that once this team starts to turn things around, that'll drop off. Buffalo won't be an unattractive location once we start seeing some wins. It is tricky to get from one to the other because sometimes that player that you're looking for that could really turn things around may not want to come because you're on that no-trade list. Their top 4 defense should be interesting. Matthias Samuelsson, Rasmus Dahlin coming into his own last year, I thought had a good year, and he seems to improve every season. Owen Power is the real deal, I think, based on what I saw towards the end of the season. He only played the 8 games, but he looked really good. It was seamless with Owen Power is what was impressive to me. There weren't the rookie mistakes that you might see with the defenseman coming into the NHL. Henry Jokiharju as well. Likely to get that top 4 time. Jacob Bryson could push for some time, and there's others on that blue line too that could try to push their way into that top 4. So we shall see. Breakthrough candidates for Buffalo, I went with Dylan Cousins and Peyton Krebs. Peyton Krebs was fantastic. The additions of both Krebs and Tuch to this lineup made a huge difference, and it looks like the Jack Eichel trade has reaped rewards for the Buffalo Sabres already. We'll see if that continues to be the case this season. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. It may really depend on the ability to stay healthy for Krebs as well as for Tuch, and more for Tuch than for Krebs. But anyways, their coach is still Don Granato. I think he's done a decent job. It's possible that if we see Buffalo off to a slow start, his job might be in a little bit of trouble, only because I think Kevin Adams is likely looking at this team and saying, okay, we should get a few more wins than we got last year. I don't think the expectations are much higher than last year, but they should be a little bit better. Maybe they get to NHL 500 this year. Maybe they play some games that are important in late February, early March before dropping out. So we'll see what happens with them, because I think there's enough here. You're keeping most of the players together who went on that decent run at the end of the season. We'll see. So the leaders in terms of goals, Tage Thompson had 38. So great season for him. Jeff Skinner had 33. Jeff Skinner had a very nice bounce-back season. If he could do that a second season in a row, which has been an issue with him in his career, that'd be huge. Assists, Rasmus Dahlin led the way with 40, and then Tage Thompson and Jeff Skinner both had 30. So really, you know, the depth isn't quite where you'd want it to be to project Buffalo to be a playoff team yet. But with the kids coming in and some of these other players and the production that they've been putting up, again, it shouldn't be as bad as it has been. Speaking of, their power play was good this past season. 21.2%. Their penalty kill, a little bit below league average, by which I mean about 3% below league average at 76.4%. So that's something they'll be looking to improve. You make some changes on the blue line, that could very well be with an eye towards your penalty kill, and we'll see how all that turns out. But for Buffalo, it really is about trying to just stop with losing so many games every year and being out of it. So expiring contracts to keep an eye on. Kyle Okposo, whose contract was seen as bad. Now it doesn't really matter. And Okposo, honestly, having a couple of back-to-back decent seasons for Buffalo. Not justifying his contract, but he's out there playing and playing well. Zemgus Girgensons, Vinny Hinostroza, who re-signed here in the offseason, was on the market, chose to come back to Buffalo. Lawrence Pilot, who from the KHL chose to come back to Buffalo. Craig Anderson, Malcolm Subban, and Riley Sheahan. So there are some players that have already, signed in Buffalo, and we'll see if that becomes a thing. I think winning will go a long way to changing the narrative, and they need to do that winning sooner rather than later. So while the expectation isn't very high when it comes to the Buffalo Sabres, I don't know. I think there's hope, and so we'll see how things go in October and November. If they have a good record at the end of November and they look like they're in the mix for a wild card spot, they may very well be able to stay there. That big start is important, keeping in mind that Buffalo's had some really good starts over the last half decade that haven't panned out. Doesn't mean you don't want another good start. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.